the belief systems of cosmic civilizations. People who have developed abilities of extrasensory perception, and thus the possibilities of reaching toward communication with representatives of cosmic civilizations, sometimes obtain amazing revelations from extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings about our place on Earth, the role of humans in the universe, the history of various civilizations, and the situation on a cosmic scale. We often build from this a picture of reality, which many people tend to take for granted if they only trust a given source of transmission and it agrees with their emotions regarding the reality they know. Meanwhile, when obtaining information through various channels of extrasensory perception, whether through remote viewing, OOBE, or especially through channeling, we should take into account the fact that information coming from given beings, despite feeling the sincerity of their statements or suspecting their actions based on certain beliefs, may not be objectively true. What does this mean? Faith that often takes on a religious character is in itself a phenomenon as such, even beyond religions. The situation where someone believes in something that is not objectively confirmed is probably a much more common phenomenon than we might think. Wherever there is no absolute knowledge, that is, so-called omniscience, where a given being or group of beings does not have direct empirical knowledge about absolutely everything that exists and takes place, there appears space for faith. Whenever a being, whether human or any being, has gaps in knowledge, and this concerns every being, except possibly God, and simultaneously has some desires, fears, or preferences, these gaps often begin to be filled with faith. Faith, meaning belief, not necessarily supported by facts. Faith has this characteristic that in appropriate circumstances, it becomes a conviction so naturally acquired that it is never questioned, and what a given individual or group believes in is treated as obvious, with full conviction that this is how objective truth looks. Humans have repeatedly succumbed and still succumb to this illusion. Throughout history, both groups and individuals have often lived in complete conviction about the correctness and truthfulness of their beliefs, which did not necessarily have support in facts and did not describe the actual state of affairs. Until there is a collision of such beliefs with reality that verifies them, such beliefs can be propagated and maintained by almost any number of generations and individuals. This is how religious faith works, among other things, which is doing well because it is constructed in such a way that the final verification of religious beliefs never occurs during one's lifetime. Also beyond religions, people often believe in things that they consider facts, but these are merely their beliefs adopted by their psyche for one reason or another. Cosmic and interdimensional civilizations also believe. Therefore, we should also beware of what often flows from our beliefs not based on facts. Faith in the infallibility and complete truthfulness of cosmic and interdimensional civilizations, even when their intentions seem to be the best. This means that even if a given being or civilization rightly arouses our sympathy, and we have reasons to trust its intentions and desire for truthfulness, we should still evaluate the received information through the prism of whether it might just be that being's belief about the state of affairs. Cosmic civilizations may also possess their own sets of beliefs, based, of course, on their perception of reality and gaps in the knowledge they possess. For we should assume that although they may possess knowledge incomparably greater than ours, the significance of their gaps in knowledge may also have enormous importance and cause them to have strong faith and the formation of sets of beliefs, allowing them in this way, like any rational being, to arrange reality in their mind without possessing all the data. In the case of cosmic civilizations, I speak of the significance of their gaps in knowledge because one must take into account the scale. If their knowledge, for example, is 10 times greater than ours, then the gap in knowledge patched with faith will have much greater consequences in relation to us. One should not assume anyone's omniscience, even regarding very intelligent beings. And since when believing, we are not always aware that it is just our belief and not an objective fact. And even if we know this, How often people passing on information remain silent about the fact that they are sharing a belief and not an objective fact. One should assume an analogous situation regarding other beings in the universe. Therefore, it is healthy to question and challenge and try to verify all transmitted information, especially that which looks like revealed truths. It is worth not arguing with those who transmit them, because if a given piece of information results from faith, the reaction may be similar to those we know on Earth. Many levels of reality contain beings who are absolutely convinced that they possess the best, most accurate, most objective, and wisest beliefs about reality. They treat them as facts that others should also accept. That is why not only people on Earth, if they have the opportunity, share what they believe with encountered interlocutors. How many people practicing channeling or listening to messages originating from channeling treat these messages as facts, deluding themselves that if the message comes from an advanced civilization, it must be credible? Meanwhile, it may be merely an expression of subjective belief, faith about how reality looks. Similarly, in other techniques of extrasensory perception such as OOBE, remote viewing, and all others, without exception, we must always remember to subject the obtained information to appropriate analysis, and upon encountering an informational message, not treat it up front as objective truth, but initially as simply content that a given party decides to present to us. We should discover and investigate the reasons for this reservation, including investigating whether a given entity, a given being has empirical information supporting the knowledge being transmitted in facts, or whether they are its set of beliefs. Faith is ubiquitous, not only in the form of religion, but in the form of interpreting information and reaching various conclusions as a result of these interpretations. Faith often results from differences in the language we use, which can lead to different perceptions of the same issues. Faith is present in politics and economy. Wherever there are different points of view and different perspectives, we can and should strive for objective truth. But in the process of our learning various fascinating information, we should also always remember that even if something agrees very much with our beliefs, our faith, we are not necessarily dealing with information about a fact. It may only be another belief in something that fits ours. In this way, people often strengthen themselves even more in their beliefs, and this still has nothing to do with learning about objective reality and facts. So if we care about facts, that is, that the information we learn from all kinds of spiritual insights, and not only is truly valuable, let us always subject to our consideration what makes a given being say, what they say, and why we perceive it as we perceive it. Is someone really conveying to us what they know, or maybe they just have such a belief because it is convenient for them and subjectively explains their place in the universe, just as various religious beliefs do for many people? Thanks to the knowledge that everyone believes in something, we can live more consciously, as we will automatically have our eyes open to the psyche and psychology of given beings, to what our interlocutors are like internally, because faith says a lot about a being and its fears and needs that it tries to satisfy. The faith of cosmic civilizations can be just as cosmically spectacular, but our advantage is always when we understand what is faith and what is knowledge. The end. Jakub Kuba Nigowski, The Star Embassy.